I still remember the exact moment my world began to crack. It was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. The day every little girl dreams about. White dress, soft music, flowers in the air, and a future I believed was safe. I stood in front of the mirror, my hands trembling slightly as I adjusted my veil. My reflection smiled back at me, but my heart, it felt heavy, not with fear of marriage, but with something I couldn't explain. Maybe it was because of him. My brother. Daniel had always been complicated. Growing up, he wasn't just my older brother, he was controlling, unpredictable, and at times, cold. But I convinced myself that today would be different. Today, he would finally be happy for me. After all, I was marrying the man I loved. Ethan? Strong, calm, and quietly confident. A Marine pilot who had spent years flying missions over oceans most people would never even see. He wasn't loud or showy, but there was something about him. Something steady. Something safe. He made me feel protected in a way I never had before. And maybe that's what bothered Daniel. As I walked down the aisle, I saw Ethan waiting for me. His eyes soft, his smile gentle. For a moment, everything else faded. The guests, the whispers, even my brother standing stiffly at the side. But what I didn't know that day was that my brother wasn't there to celebrate. He was there to destroy everything. The ceremony had just begun when I noticed Daniel moving. At first I thought nothing of it. Maybe he was nervous. Maybe emotional. But then his expression changed. It wasn't sadness. It was anger. Cold, sharp, dangerous anger. And before I could understand what was happening, he stepped forward. "Stop this wedding." His voice cut through the entire hall. Conversations froze. Music stopped. My heart dropped. I turned to him, confused. "Daniel, what are you doing?" But he didn't look at me. His eyes were locked on Ethan. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't just a scene. It was something far worse. "What kind of man are you marrying?" Daniel said loudly, his voice filled with accusation. The room went silent. Every guest watching. Every eye on me. My chest tightened. "Daniel, stop. You're embarrassing yourself." But he stepped closer, pointing directly at Ethan. "You think he's some hero? Some perfect man?" he continued. "You don't even know who he really is." My heart started racing. I looked at Ethan, waiting for him to respond. But he didn't. He just stood there, calm. Too calm. "What are you talking about?" I asked, my voice shaking now. Daniel laughed, but there was no humor in it. "I'm talking about the truth," he said. "The truth he's been hiding from you." The guests began whispering. My hands clenched around my bouquet. "Say something, Ethan," I whispered. But before he could speak, Daniel shoved him. Hard. Gasps filled the hall. "Daniel!" I screamed. But he didn't stop. Years of anger, jealousy, and something darker. It all poured out in that moment. He lunged again, grabbing Ethan's collar. "You don't deserve her?" he shouted. And that's when everything inside me broke. "Enough!" I cried, stepping between them. I looked at my brother, really looked at him. And for the first time, I didn't see family. I saw someone who wanted to ruin me. "Why are you doing this?" I asked, my voice trembling. He didn't answer immediately. His eyes flickered. And then he said something that changed everything. "Because he took everything from me." The words hung in the air. I froze. "What?" Daniel stepped back, breathing heavily. "He ruined my life," he said. "And now he thinks he can just walk into yours like nothing happened?" I turned to Ethan again. This time, I needed answers. And finally, he spoke. But not the way I expected. His voice was calm, controlled, almost authoritative. "Daniel," he said quietly, "you should really think about what you're saying. Something about his tone sent a chill down my spine. But Daniel didn't care. "Don't act like you don't know," he snapped. "Tell her. Tell her what happened 5 years ago." 5 years ago? I looked at Ethan, my heart pounding. "Ethan? What is he talking about?" There was a long pause. And then, everything changed. Ethan stepped forward slightly, his expression no longer soft, but firm. "5 years ago," he said slowly, "I was part of an operation." The room went silent again. A mission that exposed illegal trafficking routes, including weapons and stolen military data. My breath caught. Daniel's face went pale. "And your brother," Ethan continued, "was involved." The words hit me like a storm. "No," I whispered. Daniel shook his head violently. "He's lying." But Ethan didn't raise his voice. He didn't argue. He simply looked at me and said, "I have proof." That was the moment I realized. This wasn't just a family conflict. This was the truth I had never been meant to see. Everything after that felt unreal. Like I was watching someone else's life fall apart. Ethan signaled quietly, and within seconds, 2 uniformed officers stepped into the hall. The guests gasped. Daniel froze. No, you can't do this," he said, his voice breaking for the first time. But Ethan's expression didn't change. "This isn't revenge," he said calmly. "This is accountability." The officers approached Daniel. I stood there, unable to move, unable to speak. "Daniel," I whispered, "tell me this isn't true." For a moment, he looked at me, really looked at me. And in his eyes, I didn't see denial anymore. I saw regret. But it was too late. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," he said softly. That was his answer. That was my truth. Tears filled my eyes as they took him away. My own brother, the person I grew up trusting, had been hiding a life I never imagined. And today, he tried to destroy mine before his truth could be exposed. The hall was silent, broken, just like me. I slowly turned to Ethan. "You knew," I said quietly. He nodded. "I wanted to tell you," he said. "But I needed the right moment. And the right proof." I looked at him, searching for anger. But all I felt was something else. Relief. Because for the first time, the truth wasn't hidden anymore. Weeks later, everything changed. The wedding was postponed. The whispers slowly faded, and life slowly began to heal. Ethan never left my side. Not when the truth came out. Not when I broke down. Not when I questioned everything. He stayed. And that's when I realized, real love doesn't hide in silence. It stands firm. Even when everything falls apart. As for Daniel, he faced the consequences of his actions. Not because I wanted revenge, but because truth always finds its way to the surface. And sometimes, the people who try to break you are the same ones who reveal your strength. I lost a brother that day, but I found something far more powerful: clarity and peace.